Ready to go,
Okay.
don't ask.
Words. Okay.
Emma's Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. In today's podcast, we got somebody that I dearly love, and you heard him before actually talking with me. And by the way, just to let you know before we enter into the conversation, the beautiful, absolutely magical music that you are listening at before and after has been composed by Jenner Zeno, who actually is a genius on its own. I'm telling you guys, you have to go check the website. And that's the person I'm talking to today, who is the founder of Studio Stargazer. But we're going to go back a little bit in his past right now before Jenner you say anything because I'm hearing is like ready to go. I'm like, no, 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 no. So to know a little bit about Jenner right now, I want to talk a little bit about it. He was the co-founder of Element 29 Gift and Apparel, then moved on to be a brand manager for a company. Then from the brand manager, assistant front desk manager, then entertainment director for a Thirsty Lizard Bar and Grill, and then finally became the co-founder of Southern Arizona Stargazers, which is a club for astrophotography buffs, astronomy students, astrophysics nerds, and all manner of stargazers. You know what? I missed this one because I should have gone over there. I will never come back here in Minnesota. But foremost, since 2012, he's the founder of Studio Stargazers, which is an incredible, incredible space to be. Because it's using a lot of beautiful sounds and magic to travel into the universe. And it's amazing from community theaters to Studio Stargazer to storytelling. It's amazing to listen to the beautiful composition of music because he's a dreamer, a producer, a director, a composer, like you heard. Because I've never thought somebody would ever write the music for me, and he did and surprised me. He's a writer, a beautiful writer, and a storyteller, and voiceover, a KG, and a DJ. But I want to talk about the storytelling as well, because if you have not checked out on his website, Journey to Saturn, the Cassini story, you have to, or you can go on Podomatic and find that episodes as well where I was Cassini. So I want first to introduce you, everybody, to Jenner. Hi, Jenner. Hi, my love. How are you doing today?
Hello. I am doing so good. How are you?
Just another day in paradise here. Now I'm talking to you. And yes, I say I love Jenner. Yes, Jenner. I love Jenner. So my goodness, you have done so much, and we're going to talk a little bit later on as Studio Stargazers. But the question I have for you is you have a passion for the universe, you have a passion for the stars. I want to know when this all started.
Oh gosh. I think it was the first time I actually saw them and saw how much I was missing by growing up in the city because I grew up in San Diego. And it's comparatively, it's not, super bad light pollution, but you're lucky if you see maybe a handful of stars on any given night. And then most of them are planets anyway, they're not even stars. So coming out here, I live in the middle of absolute nowhere in Arizona, southern Arizona. And the first time I ever visited out here, just kind of passing through on vacation, was with my dad when I was like maybe 6, 7, 8, something like that. I'm not sure, but I remember this this part of the world, and I have deep family roots that go back here generations and generations, all the way to like the wagon trains and stuff. So I felt a really deep connection to just this part of the world, and then the sky out here is just insane. And it must have been that trip, being 6, 7, 8 years old, and looking up and going, "Oh my gosh, that's what I was missing." Because
Mm-hmm.
it's just insane. You can see the Milky Way from here. You can see the dark rift that goes across the Milky Way. You can see just countless stars, and that's the thing that really keeps me here. It's a good reminder of not only how small we are.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
It makes you feel really small.
Mm-hmm.
But Neil deGrasse Tyson has this thing he likes to say too. It means when I look up, I don't feel small. I feel big, because I'm a part of that. I
Mm-hmm.
We are that part of the universe that's looking at itself in wonder. So it's that superposition of both states of feeling so tiny and insignificant, but also feeling like you're a part of the biggest thing ever, which is
Mm-hmm.
the universe. And it's if you don't fall in love with that, I mean, you're not human.
That's fantastic. So you discovered the sky, and the question I have for you is, okay, from the sky, what did you do? Did you just ever thought that you will be studying something like Stargazer Studios or Ranch, or did you use your imagination to create something else? To from the point of being in, you discovered the sky to where you are today. What was your thought process, and how did you get to where you were to where you are?
Well, it's when I really started falling in love with space exploration. Obviously, Cassini is my favorite mission of all time, the Cassini-Huygens mission to Saturn. But must have been, oh gosh, 2012, I think, is when we had the Curiosity mission, and I was very much into that. This That was kind of a landmark mission for NASA, landing a 1-ton rover on Mars, the biggest thing that we'd ever sent. And just the orchestration and the technology that went into doing that, landing something that big on Mars. Just it floated down like a butterfly from a jetpack, and that was really kind of like unlocked that wonder, that I think we're all born with. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
wonder for exploration in life and all of that. So that was probably 2012 when things turned around. The studio didn't really start doing anything until the podcasts came along. I started the studio primarily just as my own record label, because I knew that my style was so different that it wasn't likely to get picked up by some big record label, and I didn't want it to be either. I always wanted to just have my own label, and what am I going to call it? So
Yes.
it's the Stargazer thing, and then I flipped it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from being Stargazer Studio to
Mm-hmm.
Studio Stargazer. The studio really comes first. It's the engine that is empowering now all types of creativity. But I really had, if you go back and you listen to like my first podcast episodes, they're pretty simple, pretty raw. For a long time, it was just conversations. We talked to many amazing people. We've had different co-hosts come in and out over time, but it had this slow evolution toward becoming more immersive, becoming more cinematic, doing more scoring, musical scoring, and sound design, and sampling clips from all over the world and space and time and things, lots of pop culture references, and just never letting it be definable. Mindwave is completely undefinable because it's completely different from one day to the next,
Hmm.
and it's been a little bit of everything at the same time. But that's really where this idea for more deeper level, immersive creative storytelling came from. And then we founded the theater, a couple years ago, and it is just now evolving into something new, which
Oh,
is the
absolutely.
Imagination Theater, and you're a big part of
So,
that. That's Journey to Saturn is the first piece.
yes, and that's an amazing piece. But I wanted to know, first of all, do you have a background in music? Because you wrote just for the intro and the music you wrote for me for my podcast. It's like
Mm.
I would have never, I was looking for a new one, and I had a new one temporarily for like a couple weeks until you decided, and I was so humbled to create one for my podcast. But do you have a background in music?
I wouldn't say a background because I mean I've been playing piano since I was 6 or something. Since I was old enough to reach the keys, I've been playing the piano. But I'm entirely self-taught. I can't
That's what I wanted
read
to know.
or write
Okay.
music at all. I have
Yep.
no background in music theory. I just
And that's
yeah,
why I
I
bring
love
it up.
sound.
Yes, and the sound is that's why I'm going to invite people to go on Stargazers and listen to the music, because by listening to the sound, you would never believe you do not have a formal education, or being trained, a formal training on how to write music. That's what I wanted people to know. You're an autodidact. That's what we call it, autodidact. It's somebody who's capable
Yes.
to do. We're autodidacts here, so the club is not having any formal training, but knowing it deep in our core what we're capable to do and let our skill set evolve. Because the music is so beautiful, but with the music comes the words too, because it's not only music, is the storytelling. And that to me is, again, I'm going to ask you, do you have a formal training on writing stories?
Oh my gosh. No, not at all. I didn't even think that I could. I've never thought of myself as a writer. Journey to Saturn was really the first ever piece that I wrote every single word of, and then you helped me make that into something. That was the first time that's ever happened. Um, I had written large chunks of the first story, Only Through Fire, from about halfway on, and they're still my stories, Only Through Fire and A Bigger Table, which are the big, two really big pieces for the theater. But we had another lead writer on that who's definitely, classically trained, let's put it, as the correct way to do things. I've always had a kind of rejection of the whole idea of there being a correct way to do something. So
I don't think there's a correct way.
no, I
There
don't
is
either.
uh, there is people who are trained,
Mm,
and there is people who are gifted to have don't need the training because they're already trained when they showed up here on Earth.
mm,
So for me, it's utilizing our skill sets and let them evolve. So some people will need the training and some don't. And for me, listening to the music, reading the words you wrote are amazing. It's very deep. It's really coming from a deep place. It's not something, it's like I have to put the words together so it has to look a certain way. It's you bring the feeling into it. You bring more than the words. You bring the essence of the words into it. Because you can write, we can all write, but if you don't put the essence, the feeling in there, then the word to me is flat. You don't feel
mm.
it.
Essence is a good word. I think about writing kind of the same way I think about music. Music was really my first language. You know, I've always had a much easier time conveying, you know, my thoughts, my emotions. You know, always way easier for me to communicate in music than in words. I was not a good reader or writer in school. Just the I'm talking like literally just words on the page. Um, when I started working um, in a job where I could wear headphones for 40 hours a week, I started listening to a lot of audiobooks and a lot of different podcasts. And that was really when I started to absorb this kind of content because I actually have a very hard time reading text just throughout my entire life. I've always had that where like I'll read a couple pages in and then I'll get to this one paragraph and I'll find myself reading the same paragraph 5 times, and it's not sticking. It's not, there's some disconnect there. So um, the written word is something that I've had a deep appreciation for a long time, but I never felt like that was, for me. It's always just been about the sound and about the music and really the story. The story to me, if I'm telling a story, I want it to feel, like it could have been passed down just by word of mouth, generation after generation after generation, and was probably changed a bunch of times. That's how I think about music too. It's, I don't know, just different languages. But as a technically writing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm horrible. I don't follow the rules. I have all kinds of extra ellipses and improper capitalizations because if I'm going to read something, I know where I want to hit. So there's just all these extra capital letters, and it's just totally wrong as far as school is concerned. But it helps me, getting through a performance of something, or it also gives cues to people who are coming in, like you did with Journey to Saturn and performing pieces. So my actual writing style is very wrong technically, as far as schools would be concerned, but it feels more natural to me. Um, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
beautiful.
feels
No, that
natural.
yeah, I think it's beautiful, and being able to create that space that gives you really the power to be who you are and really create at the level you need to create. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great opportunity to invite not only people to listen to it, but people to come and join as well.
Hmm. To
So
be a part
that's
of it with us, yeah, that's
yes,
the goal.
to be part of it. But there is, as we said, there is some, like everything else, there's some guidelines and rules that needs to be follow up as well in that regard. So because it's a very beautiful and safe space where creativity is a must, but also feeling part of a family and being empowered to really let the spirit or spirit talk and you know break the glass ceilings and be free to really reflect what Studio Stargazer is. As I said, when you gave me, I think forever, we're gonna talk about that piece, Journey to Saturn. When you gave me the snippet of the music, it was just beautiful. But the words that you had were absolutely powerful. You could feel what Cassini could have felt when it left Earth and to the end of its journey. So becoming Cassini was just amazing. But those words had so much power. That was the amazing part of it. So when we're looking at the theater, because when people will go on Studio Stargazers, there is different area you can go, and the theater, it is really a theater, guys. It's really the sound is like you're sitting down into a theater, and really listening to it is extremely powerful. And having headphone set, it's even more
Mm-hmm.
powerful. But everything is down at the theater level. It's going and pay your $15 or whatever it is right now for paying to a theater and listening to it. It is absolutely amazing, I would say. So the theater experience is a must, definitely.
Yes, please come and experience the theater productions. Hello, puppy.
Yeah, I think
Because that's
I think Mac is sorry to interrupt. I think Mac is creating a mayhem with Daddy. Get her going right now outside.
Aw.
So that's all.
No worries. I love it when the dogs make guest appearances on the shows. It really is, and I like that you nailed down on that, because that's why I call it a theater, is because it's a theater where, you really definitely want to be listening on good headphones, or maybe in your car where you have
Oh
some
yes.
kind of surround sound.
Oh my God, yes.
And
Hmm.
not while you're driving, kids, okay? Because ideally, you'd want to close your eyes. The screen or the stage is inside your mind. It's
Oh
it's
yes.
using the power of
Yep.
your own imagination
Hmm.
to the audio is just going to guide you. But one of
Hmm.
the most beautiful things about this type of storytelling is that everybody's seeing something slightly different in their own heads. And
Yes.
the my favorite um example of this is with the piece Orion's Bell, which that's one that I'm not super proud of. The story and the production itself, it's definitely not at the top of my list, but it's a
Hmm.
story about a cat, who lives in a castle, and he has to get, the courage to go outside and play with, his new animal friends. And it was intended as a children's story, but it's about this, cat, which is really a metaphor for depression,
Hmm.
and what it's like to feel like you're, trapped in this dark, scary castle.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed asking people, like, at the end of it, like, okay, what color was the cat? Because we never described the cat, but everybody saw. Somebody, some people would insist, oh no, that was an orange tabby cat, or
Hmm.
no, that was a calico. Oh, that
Yeah.
you guys didn't see a black cat? That was definitely a black cat. And so everybody saw a different cat. And I'm like, that is the
Hmm.
magic of this kind of storytelling. And I've had lots of people go, well, why don't you make something visual to go along with it? I'm like, I just do that with my brain. I don't we don't need a screen for that.
What
The
what I love
imagination is powerful.
imagination, and I think doing this it will bring back imagination for people who are listening. So if you lost
Mm.
some of that, because with the day-to-day life we're living, we are not using as much imagination if we're not an artist. But I'm thinking that using the theater portion of the website really encourage you to unplug and really open the door to your imagination to create that movie in your head, which I think is beautiful. It's a great way, but the sound, everything is so, it's like in a theater. It's, you can feel it. The music is so powerful. You can feel it. You feel the energy, and the same with the voice in those theaters. In those, what do we call it? Now I'm calling it theaters. In the community we're in, because yes, you got the little lights, you got a snippet of Journey to Saturn teaser, and it's really do like if you're listening to By the Water of Babylon, Enough Rope, Part One. Yes, you wanted to say something about the waters of Babylon?
By the Waters of Babylon
Mm-hmm.
is it's an amazing story, and I don't want to give anything about the story. I don't want to give anything away, but I was challenged to read this piece, and I had never heard of it before. I didn't Google it beforehand,
Good.
and in as I was reading it, that was my first time ever reading it, and I had no idea what was happening in the story. I was
Hmm.
just following, where the words were leading me, and I
Hmm.
didn't really understand. It's kind of the classic hero's journey, but told in a really interesting way, and
Yes.
it's reflective of humanity and the struggles that we go through. And what by the time I got to the end and realized what was actually happening, I was like, holy shit. It's an amazing piece, but I didn't even know what the fuck was happening
Yeah.
as I was reading it, which you can kind of, I would hope, be able to hear a little bit of that in my voice, that uncertainty. When is this taking place? Who is this guy? Who is John, son of John? And the reveal at the end is pretty freaking epic. But I love that story, and that was the first one that I was kind of thinking like, yeah, well, we're gonna do audiobooks. So that came from, this is a public domain piece from like the 30s.
Hmm.
Um, so that was really the first one, that the first project that I made, that I had, this whole audiobook thing in mind. I've been doing this almost entirely on just podcasts or on the website itself, but
Hmm.
these should be audiobooks. These should be experiences that people can have there. So that was the first one that I was thinking, yeah, this is where we're gonna go. And then obviously Journey to Saturn just, I don't want to say blew it away, but it was just like boom. Journey to Saturn just appeared, and the words just kind of came,
Hmm.
because the music came a long time ago. Um, but the words, I mean, I've said this before on the various shows, the words didn't come until I could hear a voice speak them, and speak power to them. And, that obviously required you, because I could hear Cassini before the recording. You know what I mean. I could hear
Yep.
it in
Yep.
your voice. I could read it in your voice and feel it in your voice.
Hmm.
That's created that special connection. And that's, I guess, yeah, entirely original, from beginning to end. So I'm very, very proud of that one.
Oh, it's beautiful because I still listen to it, and it's just amazing. It's just what you did with it is amazing. So that's why it's like, and when people goes to that theater, it's really a theater. It's really high quality. It is Hollywood. All right, this is what it is. It's going for your movie, and you're just gonna have a blast, just a blast. But I just love it. It's the quality is that good, which is amazing. Then you do the podcast as well, because we talk about Mindwave, and I am also part of the family here
Mm-hmm.
with Emma's Universe. And others individuals are also part of the family um, of stargazers, because it's not only theaters, but it's also podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. So you got a lot of people. You got Ryan, who's here for Rise Up. Um, you got Interstellar Frequency, which is awesome. You got
Mm-hmm.
Spirit
It is.
Monkey, War of One, Hard Truth, and you got extended network for a couple of them as well, which is Life in Space and Climate Fix podcast. So
Mm. A little
it's
bit of
wonderful.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's that diversifies, quote unquote, because it's not only theater, but it's also podcast. And you do have, because I'm visiting everything right now, by the way, as I'm going in there, is you do have a section which is actually called Stars, and this is original artists. So you do have people here as well who are magicians, and they do have their own original um, work, which is great, which is awesome.
Mm.
Do you want to expand a little bit
Yeah.
on more on that?
Well, the site, I've been trying to figure out how best to organize everything. The original idea was that it would just all go in this thing called the universe, and that you could easily navigate around it. And the
Mm-hmm.
universe part of the site is still accessible. It's under construction, but it's the Helix Nebula thing in the bottom. Why I made the stars page is, I mean, that's a whole new part. I wanted everybody to have, kind of like an artist page,
Yes.
um, which, there's obviously it's pretty much just me and Ryan, who are the Stargazer original music artists. But then I also wanted to give a place there to highlight some of the artists who are featured in the theater pieces. So the Imagination Theater pieces, Melody Sheet, John D.
Yeah.
Boswell, Nigel
Yeah.
Stanford,
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Misko. Those are all prominently featured artists in the upcoming pieces. Um, and then also because, Epidemic has become such a big part of the new style of show that we're all striving to make. There are a handful of the Epidemic artists highlighted in there as well that just get used again and again and again because they're brilliant independent artists that we're fortunate enough to be able to license their work through Epidemic. So we got Bonnie Grace is a big staple on not only my show but on Interstellar Frequency as well. Joe Wandrini. I mean, we just have some fantastic composers there that I really wanted to give them a place to shine there. So those are not, studio artists, but we use their work a lot, and we're really happy to be able to let the world know, give them the credit, say, yes, that's who we're using in this piece. And I'm trying to get better about that.
And that's awesome. I think it's wonderful to be able to give the space for people to really show their art history, and I think it's, to me, essential so they have people know who they are a little bit more, because it reminds me, I forgot the name of who started that actually, because the one of the past music I use, give me one sec, because oh yeah, banners. Okay, so when the before I had your beautiful music, which, unless you do something else different and give me something else, I keep that music. It's just beautiful. But when I started my podcast a few years ago, I don't think I had an intro and an exit music when I started. I don't think so. I don't recall if I had one in the beginning, or maybe I did, but I don't know. And I saw, like you said, people are using their music all the time. Well, I was watching a series, and it's a British series about the royal. And the royal is not about, it's with Elizabeth Hurley. So it's the version of the royal, but in a most wicked way you can ever think about. It's awesome. It's a great show, actually. I love it. And I was listening to some of the music, and I didn't know who the artist was, and it was Banners. And they had one of the songs, it's Half Light. And I discovered that artist through that show. And I picked up one, which is basically, I picked up a snippet of Starter Riot, actually, because the entry and the exit was part of that music. But again, if you don't give the space to the people like that, like you are doing actually, then we don't know much about who they are and what music or song or what they're doing. So it's nice to have that space for them, because one song, like, there is a song of Kate Bush right now, and that's from the 80s, and now it's back here in the US, and everybody is like, oh, I love it. I'm like, yeah, it's the 80s, it's Kate Bush. And they're like, you know her? I'm like, yes, I grew up with her, so yes. But they're using for a specific show, and that her song just skyrocketed, and it's like, yeah, you don't know the artist and learn who she is, but when you hear one song or music, then you want to know more about the artist. So if you don't have the space or you don't know who they are, it makes it more complicated. And I love the fact that you created a space for them to be showcased. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's important And
Mhm.
I mean, because some of the best composers of all time who go into shows that you'd see on Netflix or Hulu or something, people don't generally know the names of those people. One of my favorite composers is Bear McCreary, and you would definitely recognize his work if okay. So real quick, he did the themes for Battlestar Galactica and Caprica. He also
All
did
right.
the opening title sequence for Black Sails, which is with the hurdy-gurdy. That's one of my favorite compositions of all time. He did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He did
Mhm.
the theme song to The Walking Dead.
Okay.
So and tons of films and video games and things, but that's just an example of like people don't think about that part of the creation process, that there is a composer who that's their job, to create a theme for a show that really sets the stage for the whole show. And podcasts
Yes.
generally don't have that.
Yes.
And I
Agree.
insist. I'm like, no, I insist
Mhm.
that everyone should have a theme song like this is HBO Plus or whatever.
I could say I have one now, thanks to you,
Yes,
because I
yes.
did not had one, and it's funny because I was switching and like I need something different, and I picked up something. It wasn't what I wanted, but he was like, okay, that will do. And when you share that with me, which brought tears in my eyes, I was shocked. I'm like, who would ever wrote a song for my podcast? Nobody. And I was in awe because it was so beautiful. It's so me, it's so the universe, it's so Emma, that it was just like, that's perfect. I loved, and that's why I got the short version at the beginning and I had the full version at the end. So for people to listen to it, listen to the end because the music is amazing. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, uplifting upon your chakras. It's just gorgeous. So it's, to me, you're right, it sets the tone. It sets the tone of the show. And a lot of people don't realize who the composers are, and they just love the music, they love the sound, but they don't know. So for me, that you give that space for those artists to be heard, I think it's fantastic. It gives an opportunity for people to know them more.
Mm.
Definitely. Hmm.
And this is I gotta give a nod to Stan Lee here, because with Marvel and that whole universe there, he thought it was important for people to sit through the credits. And no, actually, sit there and look at the people who made this possible. Look at how many people it took to bring this project to life. And he had this brilliant move of doing the after credits scene.
Hmm.
So would keep people in the theaters to sit through the credits to see, oh, what's going to happen in the after credits. And that's, I kind of want to bring a little bit of that energy too, of like, yeah, you should sit through the credits, and we might even make that like a little treat, a little goodie for you if you do, and if you are paying attention. We love hiding Easter eggs in theater
Hmm.
pieces a lot. There are tons of
I
Easter
love
eggs
it.
all over the place. Not so much in Journey to Saturn. I mean, there's a couple, but I will not reveal them. They're
It's
hidden
okay.
little surprise Easter eggs that are references to other things
Hmm.
in a lot of the work.
No, but that's
But yeah,
that's
it's about
wonderful.
honoring the creative process, and doing the credits and letting people know. Um,
Hmm.
Place to shine. I think we've talked about this before. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be in front of the camera. I want to be the invisible guy behind the curtain, who's done a billion things, and I'm in everything, but you'd never know, because it's not about me and how cute I am. I am rather cute, if you can't tell by the I don't have a face for radio. I definitely got the radio voice thing down.
Oh.
But no, that's always made me uncomfortable. I've always just wanted to be the invisible guy behind the curtain. Because it's big creative projects like this. I mean, the most moving creative projects, they take all kinds of people coming together and working together. And I've just really, for the longest time, wanted to be one of those people helping create some big, beautiful masterpiece that just becomes a part of our culture, for the rest of time, for as long as humans are left on this planet. You have these moments where something emerges, some art piece emerges, and it becomes a part of our culture for the rest of history. And that's, yeah, sorry, maybe that's a little too deep, a little too esoteric, but that's really what I strive for, to be one of the invisible creators in the background making magic.
No, but that's beautiful. I think it's wonderful. I think it's beautiful what you're doing. And as I said, the quality is amazing. The wording is amazing. Everything about what you have done for the studio is just amazing. It allows people to create, really let their creativity come to the surface and go even beyond that. You even have a space actually for video as well, where because it's not, it's a full package. The Studio Stargazer is a full package. It's not a half baked or a quarter baked. I like the half baked only in Ben and Jerry's ice cream. The rest, not so much. I always say that to people. I said I don't do half baked. Only when I go to this grocery store, and I've not eat a half baked from Ben and Jerry for years, but I will go voluntarily to go eat one. But no, it's the full package. It's not only from the music, it's not only for the sound, the theater sound, but also for the video. So can you talk more about that area for
Well,
stargazers?
the visual component is, I mean, it's never been one of my strong suits. The idea has always been that we would get, you know, uh, visual artists on the team who could then do things like design things in 3D, because we do have the goal of developing some of these stories, for example, into like video games. So we're actually designing the worlds, and we're designing the characters, and then using the writing and the story and the themes and everything, and weaving that into a game. Studio Stargazer hopes to also do games in a couple years' time, but haven't really done a lot of that yet. We don't have actually any full video pieces. I've made trailers, or kind of cinematic trailers for some of the theater pieces to try and engage people visually too, to be like, come sit down, experience this with us. And then just so the video part is mostly just samples, design comps, trailers for different stuff, because there are people who are really good at video production. I don't consider myself one of them. I have very expensive tools, but that's different. But I want that to be one of the things that Studio Stargazer can offer, is just bringing that cinematic Hollywood trailer level feel to everything that we do. And so there's not a whole lot that's been done in the video domain yet. You mentioned Little Lights. I mean, that is probably my favorite visual piece that I've done, and that's a sample from Only Through Fire, which I really want you to read for that character and that piece when we finally get back. I think maybe October, maybe.
Okay.
We'll have a very spooky story about a village.
Yep.
But I also tend to break a lot of design rules when I work visually, and when I work in video in particular. I love overlaying. So this is not something that's super common by any stretch of the imagination, but I love taking assets and then, making them more transparent and then layering things over each other. So it's one of my weird creative styles that I get into in video. But I don't do a whole lot of that work, but with the ad slot level commercial type stuff, there's definitely some opportunities there to do that kind of work for people. And the first tab now on the website is services, and you helped inspire that for me too. Is that people should pay for these kinds of services, and we should be able to provide that. And it kind of deserves a premium price. And so, thank you
And
again for giving me the strength to
it's
actually
it
put that
is
on the site.
it is high quality work, because when people are listening to it, they will realize this is quality. This is high level quality work. It's not, uh, I will say it's not like driving doing drive through. It's really, compare it to food, to restaurant. It's not a
Mm.
drive through. It's sitting down and having a menu and looking at the cart and a la carte and the menu and deciding what you want. So it really is high quality, tailored to what the needs of the person wants. But again, like everything else, it's not working for free. You know what I mean? It's like not breaking the bank either. But when you're looking at the work you have done so far, even that journey to Saturn can set the tone of the quality it is. And that's what it's amazing, because for me, listening to the music, remember what I said? I said, yeah, I said a few like cursing word, and not in a bad way, but it reminds me of Jean-Michel Jarre. It's the same kind of beautiful music that he did. And the quality was there to start with. Then the words came, and it's like, holy crap. It was I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, I wasn't expect, I never expect anything, because that's always the best part of it. Never expect something and just go with the flow. But I was really looking at it. I read it one time and I'm like, holy crap, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And it was one take. That was it. One take. And I sent
And
it to you and I said,
God,
okay,
isn't that beautiful?
what are you going
God,
to do
isn't
with
that
that?
beautiful?
I don't know how many times it happened to people to just do one take, but it took one take to do it. And but it was the emotion, it was feeling it, it was ready
Hmm.
sit down, um, ground myself and just go and open up. We had offline conversation about, being able to, you can be the best actor ever, but if you don't feel it, if you don't open up the wounds, if you don't open up your past situation that may not be pleasant, then you cannot transfer the emotion to the words. So people cannot feel it. You can read and have the most beautiful voice in the world. If the emotion is not there, because you need that emotion, you need that energy to really connect with people, to go deep in their core and really, you know, um, create that bubble around them. So anyone who listen to it gonna feel something. And everybody that listened to it actually told me and came back to me and said they were all crying. I'm like, okay, good. I cried, so you will keep on crying. Not in a bad way. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of being able to, as a narrator, being able to translate this into a feeling. And that feeling,
Precisely.
exactly. And that feeling will, like, it's like watching a movie. If you see somebody who start to cry and they don't have the emotion, like they're breaking down because they lost somebody or they lost their dogs, or they're on the edge of losing their mind. Well, if they don't bring the emotion to it, it's like, okay, well, that was nice, pass me the ketchup. What do I care? However, they have to bring um, that character to life. They become that person. So for me, I don't know, maybe because of the trauma I've gone when I was younger and the life I had, it brought me the drama, because what saved me from insanity, from where I was to where I am today, has been my imagination. As a young kid, I dreamed of a world where, yes, it was grandiose of chaos. My God, I would have won the Oscar for that every single time. But I brought that emotion into that imaginary world. And as I continue to grow older, then I kind of overdone some few things in real life as drama, because we can be good at it. But it's keeping that emotion alive. And to me, it's amazing to see that and feel it. So reading a piece, reading a book, reading something, it's feeling the emotion. Like sometimes on TV, I'm looking at something and it's so sad and they break up or something happened or the doggy died, which in reality did not, but
Oof.
he died. And then I start to tear up because I can feel the emotion. It's about acting, it's about being in a character and staying there. So people can relate, you know? So for me, Journey to Saturn was bringing back all of those emotions. Then people can relate to a loss, to something that happened to them that wasn't pleasant. Is bringing back those emotions of feeling.
There is, I think that is probably the one thread that runs through all of the pieces that I've done and we've done in theater. Pain is the one thread that runs through all of that, and there are different kinds of pain. Journey to Saturn
Yes.
is like a beautiful pain to feel. Um, a bigger table is about the loss of the family and the grandparents and the big family table for the holidays, and that's a
Yep.
beautiful kind of pain.
Yeah.
It's gosh, we have not gotten to a dog and his boy yet, but that
Oh
that
boy.
story, I mean, I just sketched that out
Okay.
and described. That's got to be, yeah. It's somewhere on Mindwave. A dog and his boy, the storyboard,
Mm-hmm.
and because we all have this, story about the boy
Yep.
losing a dog, and this is
Yep.
kind of flips it where it's from the dog's perspective, and then the
Yep.
boy goes away and the dog doesn't understand where the boy went, and I'm like, I'm already like tearing up, and it's like that's where I find true beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Pain is a requirement. It's a necessary ingredient, I think, in everything that we do. The
Yeah, I
first
can
one
see
is
that.
like the pain of
Definitely.
realization, being thrust into the world that's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
That first one is a little boy who's just thrust into the world, into the wilderness, and coming to terms with that pain. Bigger table is about like remembering that loss of the family. Orion's Bell is about deep dark depression and the pain of loneliness and
But
feeling
it's all
unloved,
relatable.
and it's
It's
all exactly. This
relatable. It's
is
all relatable. It's not
it's right
something
there.
like you think, oh, it's a sci-fi and oh my God, that will never happen to me. Those are
Oh,
moments that brings us the human side of us, the spiritual side of us. Like I always said, I'd rather be in a realm with in the angelic realm and above because it's peaceful. You don't have to feel. You just feel the love. But the human side that brings us here as human, because we're spirit first and human second, brings all of the emotions. So I know most people, we don't want to go through pain. We don't want to go through tears and sorrow. We don't. That's the hardest part. But that's the part that makes us grow. That's the hardest part. It's not, oh, champagne and bonbon and caviar today. No. Through the pain, through the trials, through the tribulation, through the challenges, this is where we rise. This is where we become who we're meant to become. This is where you have to open up. Even if you don't, you have to open yourself up and feel and be
for love,
present.
yeah. Love
Mhm.
is. I said that pain is the thread that winds its way through all of these things, but really, I mean,
teaching
love
us.
is this just radiating energy inside and
It's
outside of everything. It's like it
yeah,
really is about love. And I'm
it's
glad that you mentioned sci-fi because, oh man, is the sci-fi story that good too? It pulls the exact same heartstrings on purpose. People are going to be
yes,
just blown away by the
yes,
cinematic
yeah.
quality of it, but it's also
Mhm.
really it stabs to the heart.
But the
So I
other thing
cannot wait for
too,
people to hear that.
I want to add something. It's not only love; it's unconditional love.
Yes,
Love is love. However, unconditional love is the purest form
I
and the
think
purest
that's
form
true
of
love.
love, and it's true love. It's not something it's tied to. It's coming from the universe. That's mean your spirit will
Yes.
open up and your heart chakra opens, and this is where you can feel the connection of unconditional love. Unconditional love cannot be broken. So when you lost, and I know that because I'm not gonna read it today. We talked about it on our last podcast we did. Actually, we recorded it. I read about the blog about the lost,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, it's unconditional love. So as people or animals are crossing over, the unconditional love is still there. That bound, it's still there. And that's what people need to understand. It's not the end. The connection is still and will be there no matter what. Like every animals that I lost, I know they're on the other side. I know the bond. I can feel it. And that unconditional love, actually, it's healing love. It's pure gold. It's something that cannot be corrupted because it comes from the universe, aka God, whomever you want to call it. It comes and heals you. So, through pain, we are healing. We're learning unconditional love. We can be angry because we go through 8 different stages of anger. And I've done that when I lost Malu, which I realized very quickly when I started to be angry, because I'm peaceful as much as we can. But when I started to get angry, I'm like, oh, this is not good. And this is where I felt that the grieving part of it wasn't happening, but I was going into an anger phase that should have not been there. I should have been transitioning because I knew it was time for him to go. But it's a phase, and it's being open to feel that unconditional love. It's being open to realizing I'm losing you in a physical world because we are no, it's a shell here. We're only here for a snippet, for a certain amount of time, but they are on the other side, and we will meet them no matter what. On the other side, they're waiting for us. So it's the understanding, the growth, and the healing. And when you open your heart, which is the hardest part of it, to feel everything, because it's not easy. You can put a lid on, but trust me, even if you put a lid on and a 10 pound, 10 tons of concrete, it will be a crack, and that lid's gonna open. So it's working the pain, working through the pain in the understanding of the unconditional love. And when you understand that, then your heart is filled with that love. You don't have any anger. You just have pure unconditional love. Are you still here, Jenna, my love?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, 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 yes. That's exactly it. That is
Mhm.
exactly it. And in my life, I've lost 4 dogs. So we had the childhood dogs,
Mhm.
Lucy and Duffy, which I still, you know, I still feel that unconditional love for them. And then the last two, Buddy and Lunchbox, they visit me often in my dreams. I still dream about them, and I still feel so much love for them. And I did become very angry um, when they died because they both died at home in our arms. I was angry at myself for not, going, and when they were a little feeling a little sick, we should have just immediately taken him to the vet. We didn't. We were like, oh, you your tummy will feel better. Like, come on, we'll get you some canned pumpkin or whatever. You try to make them, you
Mhm.
comfort them, make them feel better,
Mhm.
and then they they just died right there, and they died too early. They both did, and we didn't even fucking know until after the fact. We didn't know what happened, why they died, and then discovered this oleander bush in the backyard, which is poison
Oh
to
wow.
dogs. So even if they were just chewing on a stick, that's all it would have taken. It only takes one or two oleander leaves, and they'll just be poisoned and fucking die. And we didn't know, so I was angry at myself for not knowing. And what?
Are you beeping?
That's really weird. My battery backup thing is flashing red and green and making a noise. It's never done that before. The power didn't go out.
I have a feeling that
anyway,
somebody else is from the universe who's telling you that you shouldn't be angry at it, and it happened, and you're just fine. I think it's a little message from the universe, actually, from the little ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute myself and
Okay.
roll the conversation ball back to you.
Okay.
But yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
No, but but it's wonderful to talk about this because it's not roses and bonbon every day. So I love the fact that we can bring the emotion. I love the fact when we bring the nurturing. I love the fact that the words are so powerful. But again, you need to get the feeling, and it's very hard if you don't open up. You have to open up. In order to do this, you have to open up. So for me, for the journey to Saturn, I don't know, it was the right time because I would have been down a few years ago or even 6 months ago. Maybe it would have not been the same result. And I was 10 years ago, it would have been less because I would have not opened up. But you have to open and be vulnerable. That's the key, being vulnerable and realizing at the end of the day, okay, this is the story. I'm gonna walk away from it. So I'm gonna become my own self as well. Because a lot of people don't have a clue or learn that what do you call it? You have to get out of that character. So, and that can take a while actually. When you're deep into it and you have all of those feelings, you have to learn to close it. But it's feasible. I know I talked about, there was Patrick Devers, who was a French actor who killed himself because his movies were so intense. At the end, he lost himself because he was so involved, and he was a phenomenal actor. You could have feel the pain, you could have feel the struggle. The problem is he did not recognize who he was at the end, and he was too much to bear. So you have to find a healthy, I would say, balance when you do this kind of work, even as an actor. You have to learn to get off your character and realize this was a script. The same with what you wrote about the journey to Saturn. I pulled all of the feelings I had to pull and bring and open the wounds and do everything I had to do to deliver that piece. But it was so beautiful, so healing in the same time. It was just beautiful. But it takes...
And that's why it worked.
Yes.
That's why it worked. People don't understand this about when they think, oh, I want to be an actor. No, you don't. No, you don't want to be an actor, 99% of people, because you do have to kind of rip open your own soul and be willing to feel that, to channel that, to become a character. And most people are not willing to do that. I love doing it. It's therapeutic for me.
I agree.
And because look at what we can do when we do that. The strength and vulnerability thing is huge for me, especially as a man who, you grow up, oh, boys don't cry.
That's the
yes,
stupidest
they
thing
do.
ever. Yes, they do.
That is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
The stupidest lesson
Yeah.
that we ever teach kids.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
I
they don't
agree.
do a whole lot of that anymore. But I find a lot of strength in vulnerability, particularly as a man. And
Yes.
it's beautiful.
No,
It's beautiful.
I think it is. And being vulnerable, this is where we open up ourselves, like it's cracking the shell and just open up ourselves, because beauty comes out of it. Even through the pain, the sorrow, the ugliness, beauty comes through out of it. It's not putting makeup on and looking pretty that it's. I always said, if you put two people in the same room and somebody is like drop dead gorgeous and people are like attracted to that person, after a minute, if there is no content inside, people walk away from it and will go to talk to somebody else's who has content inside of them, who has substance, essence. And it's the
Mm.
same way. So if people wants to do like I've done the voiceover, the storytelling, and what you do as well, then remember, you need to be vulnerable. If you don't have it, people are not going to feel it at all. And if they don't feel it, they're not going to believe you. They're not going to believe the story. They're just going to listen for a minute and they're just going to say, okay, that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. So yeah, so that's wonderful. This is what I love. It's the creativity, it's the authenticity, it's the beautiful work, the music, the composition. Even if you're looking at the videos, there is one of them that actually we had a snippet that gives me actually the goosebumps. It's the video that you, as a snippet you get for Journey to Saturn. I can't
Oh,
wait to see
the
what you're gonna do
teaser.
with it. Oh my God, it
Oh,
gives me the goosebumps, literally.
to adapt the whole piece into a cinematic video experience, that is going to be a huge video project. But I did give people a little bit of a taste of what that's going to look like and feel like, and it's using actual NASA imagery from
Hmm.
Saturn and computer models and things, so that we can actually visually take take people to this place that we're talking about, especially when we start talking about Titan and well, Jupiter. It starts off, Venus and Jupiter are the two big ones that at the beginning of the story. And then once we get to Saturn, I mean, there's all these moons. We only mentioned two of them, but we'll probably show visually uh, more of them. And my favorite moment actually represents a real moment in time, when Cassini's looking back to the Earth and the Moon. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
And you could hear the emotion in your voice, because we look
I
back
was
and
crying.
the
I
Earth
was
and the
crying. I was
Moon,
saying goodbye. I was saying goodbye. I was crying.
they're just stars. They're just stars now. The Earth and the Moon. And
I was,
when Cassini
no.
says, um,
Yeah.
"But I saw them," and for a
Yeah.
brief moment, I knew
Yeah.
they saw me too.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
represents an actual event that
Mhm.
was orchestrated by NASA, that was like, look up and smile and wave at the spacecraft. Wait, it's going to take this picture, and that picture, it is one of the I think it's taken through the rings too. This is, well, so Cassini is spinning up there around, and it just sees this tiny little, you can see both the Earth and the Moon, just these little teeny tiny points of light through the rings. And Cassini was, kind of waving at us, and NASA did this whole, like, wave back thing. Everyone on
Yep.
Earth wave
Yep.
back, and
Yep.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite moment. And
That and lucky you, I wasn't totally bawling. I was my ears, my tears were rolling, and I was using my hand to clean it up. I'm like, okay up. But it was a very deep moment for me. It was where you feel that your world is being shattered, because you can never go back, and you can feel the connection being pulled. You pulled away. So that's why. And I was crying because I knew it was the end. I knew that as the journey was close to end, that beautiful journey, that it was time for me to go. So he was saying goodbye. And I had the tears, and I was crying. I was crying. I wasn't bawling, and oh, it would have been bad. It would have been horrible. It would have been, oh my God, everybody would have jumped. from the first floor and run for the hills. But he was so emotional because this is where you can feel that etheric chord being cut, and you're floating somewhere else where everybody is watching you and just sending you love. So that was extremely emotional. Yes, it was. It was that heartbreaking time. It was emotional when Cassini let go of her child. He was, you know, but he was safe. He was like, okay, I let you go because you're with me, but I'm going to let you go cut the cord. But it's safe. Where I'm sending you, it's safe. So I know you're going to be okay. I can let you go. I'm proud of you because I know you're going to do something fabulous. I'm so proud of you. But yes, when she turned around and said goodbye for the last time, that was, I think, one of the hardest thing. And I really, every time I'm hearing it, it's right there, brings me tears again and again and again. It's like I can feel it, I can see it. So it was pretty powerful. So I'm just glad I didn't ball into 10,000 because I was containing, in the same time, you're saying goodbye, but it's okay. But you're walking away or flying away into a different direction. So it was, as I said, you really have to put your you really have to put those emotions and really become raw with your emotions and not control. Me, I was just controlling the tears so I could continue to talk because they would have been like, and it was sort of like, oh my gosh, she's sobbing. It's just like, it's going to be appalling, people. But it was so beautiful. I don't know, I couldn't explain the beauty of the words and knowing what NASA did and how it helped Earth and people to know more about Saturn, to me was the most beautiful part of it. So, yeah. So
It was
that was
just the beginning. That was just
Mhm.
the beginning. I
Exactly.
cannot wait to see where we go next and what we do next. We're going to outdo ourselves again and again and again and again. And they're just going to
Oh,
keep getting better and
I
more
know.
powerful.
Well, that's what after that. Do you remember what I said? I said, well, if you need me if you need me for anything, I'm here. I'm not changing it. I volunteer. I am the first one in the line. I punch everybody else's in the face. Move over, people. I'm coming. I'm coming, people. Move. Fine. But I don't know. I always wanted to do that as a kid. I don't know. I always thought I would do something like that because um, I wish when I was younger, I said I would love to become an actor because I could become whoever I want to become. I want to not be me. I want to be somebody else's. I want to transform myself. And that to me is amazing because I was thinking of voiceover a few years ago and I never pursue it. And the few things I had to pass a test on, I miserably failed because it wasn't right on timing or whatever the deal was. So, but doing it, it was the right piece, it was the right music, it was the right moment, it was everything came at the time it's supposed to come because it's called perfect synchronicity. And to me, I rather doing it now than would have done 6 months ago or a year ago or 10 years ago because it would not been the same result. Because I had to go through the life I've gone in order to deliver what I've done with Journey to Saturn and more episodes, more stories we're gonna be doing together. So for me, you have to attain a certain level of maturity,
Hmm.
and when you're evolving in your own life, you're maturing, you're growing, and that's transpired even more and more as you're aging. So for me, if you're 20 and try to do this, the emotion will not be the same. The result will be different because it's based on the legacy of what you have gone through, past and now in the present time, but it's the entire spectrum of who you truly are. So for me, it's good. Everything happening right now for actually has a reason to happen, and to me, it's the right timing. So when you see people who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and succeeding at what they're doing, it's because there's a maturity that has to come with it. And this, the storytelling, you can make up this at all. You have it or you don't have it yet. What are your thoughts on that?
Just lost in a sea of stars, honestly, because it's one of the most beautiful places to be. Frankly, is that kind of lost, wandering, vulnerable. What is this? Who am I? And
Mm-hmm.
it's important. Looking back is something that I try to do less of now. But if you never look back, you will never realize how far you've come. And
I
it's
agree.
important. It's important to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Not dwell in the past, but
No.
remind yourself regularly of how far you've come.
Yes.
It's empowering. It keeps you going. It keeps you, climbing the next mountain to get to the next valley, and so on and so on and so on and so on.
I agree with you. I think you always have to
Important.
remember where you come from, no matter what. I know I came from for poor. We grew up poor in a town who basically segregated us. I'm laughing. I know people are going to be offended. Oh my God, you get segregated. Yeah, absolutely. It's not only in the US you're being segregated, it's around the world. But it taught us a lot. It taught us to learn to be self sufficient, self reliant, and to let my imagination guide me. I would not have my imagination, I would not be here today at all. But those experiences did not brought the anger in me. I know people are resentful because, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and they're comparing who they are. And I'm like, stop the comparison because there's nothing to compare with one another. All of our journey are different. However, embrace your past because it's a reminder of where you're from and what you can achieve, because the sky is the limit, the universe is the limit. There is no limit on anything. So for me, looking back at where I come from is a reminder that, wow, you get a freaking journey. You ate your black bread, because we call it the black bread, which is basically in the old age, in the Moyen Age, the black bread, which is basically the your what do you call it? What do you call it? Wheat bread, and all of those breads down at white. The wheat bread was considered for the poor. This is what we call it, the black bread, and the white bread was for the all of those lords and prince and princess and blah blah blah. Um, so that was the fancy bread. That was the one that people could not afford. Actually, most people could not afford it. So, but when you're looking at the life we've got and where we are, move that anger into productivity, move that story and change that story, because we can change the narrative of the story. And I've done it over and over and over, and I'm a persistent, stubborn person. You don't get anything you want if you're sitting down on your couch eating your potato chips. Sorry, people. It doesn't happen this way. However, looking at what you have done with the studio itself, the creativity you brought in, and what it's becoming right now, it's amazing. But it took a journey from you to do that as well. Not an easy one either. Our story is different, but it's the same at the end of the day. It's listening to our spirit. It's moving ourselves to a level where creativity, where we can bring something, bring a legacy that's going to inspire others, bring the quality of the work and what you do to life so people can enjoy it. Those are amazing. For me, Journey to Saturn, it's rediscovering a lot, especially at the end. Realizing, because when I finished to read all of it at the end, I was in fully awe of NASA. Because Cassini could have been rotating forever over there and bumping into anything, disturbing the Saturn and everybody else is around actually, because you never know, she go off course, there could have been an unfolding disaster. They were mindful of sacrificing her in order to preserve Saturn and the rings and the beauty of it. When you start to think this way and look at the bigger picture, you're gonna have goosebumps right now when I'm speaking about it. You realize how mindful we can become through that entire journey, through that sacrifices, and take this into your own experience. Everybody should think about the worst things that happen to them, even now. Maybe not having a great day because you're dealing with some crap. But think about it for a minute and see what you can overcome, because situations are temporary. Let's make it temporary. Let's change the way we think so we get a better outcome. It's not about beating the crap of somebody else's or being at the top of, oh my God, cousin Bob has big yacht, I want to be one. Who cares? It's about what your spirit is, what your call is, and the inspiration. So for me, understanding Cassini and the sacrifice that the people who built Cassini, because at the end of the day, these was their babies. Okay? So seeing this baby go off the earth, travel, do beautiful, see the wonders of the universe, and sacrifice it at the end of the day, that's heartbreaking. And like, holy crap, why would you do that? Well, because there is a bigger picture. And that picture is to preserve, not to alter. It's to preserve. If we could pick up all of the garbage that is around orbits, I would love it. We need to have something happening here on Earth. But look at the imprint they did and the mindfulness. To me, we can apply this to our own lives. We truly can. We truly can.
You agree.
So,
and you nailed the why, the more important question. When the whole what is Studio Stargazer? Well, what is it is not as important as why is it.
Yes.
Why
Yes.
is Studio Stargazer? And you really nailed it home there with this reminds me of our motto, per aspera ad astra. Very old sentiment in Latin, through hardship to the stars.
Yes.
A lot of people just shorten that to ad astra, to the stars. Oh, we're going to the stars. I'm like, no, through hardship to the stars.
Yes.
Yes. Getting through the hardship is not only like important, it's crucial. That's a crucial ingredient in the alchemy of the spirit or whatever. You have to get through that hardship.
Yes.
And keep going. And expect another one. Expect another one coming very soon. This was the theme of my last episode, Spirit Wolf, is passing storms. When the storms are coming and they're shaking your house, the sky's cracking open alive with thunder and getting just dumped with rain, and the storm is rocking your whole house.
There is a reason.
It'll pass, but.
But that's transformation. That's transformation. We cannot transform without chaos. We cannot transform without challenges. Then we want it or not, then we like it or not, because I don't say you have to like it at all. But changes comes with chaos.
Yes.
And that's the transformation. For us, if we were not being challenged, we will not transform ourselves. And that's something we need to understand. The transformation we have to go through is like the butterfly in the chrysalis. You have to break the chrysalis in order for you to become the butterfly and fly away. Sounds crazy, sounds lunatic, sounds whatever, but it is what it is. So you have to have that full understanding and being there and understand through the pain, through the perseverance, through thinking outside of the box. That's what you do. You transform, you change, you evolve. It's like if you have a company and you have people, you're going to lose people in a company, because when you go through transformation, then some people are not going to want to transform. They are not fitting anymore to what the company needs to be. It's the same with a relationship. There is some relationship they're going to part away because it run its course. It's time for people to go to different paths. It's not bad, it's good, because it gives opportunity to learn from the relationship they're in to the next one. And it doesn't matter if it's a personal or a friendly, friends or whatever it is. It doesn't matter how close it is. But these are transformation. So it's a goodbye, but it's look at it in a sense of this run its course. There is nothing else to learn from each other. There is nothing else that we can help each other for our highest good. And there is people who will stay in your life for the rest of your life, and some who don't. But it's not a sad story. It's a good story. It gives the opportunity for others to come in.
Yes. It will happen again and again and again and again and again. And this is the lesson that I took from the passing storms.
Yes.
You know, when the storm finally breaks and the sun comes out again, it's like, well, that it's going to happen again. But we'll in the meantime we'll enjoy the sunshine and try to prepare ourselves, as much as we can. And the studio has had a lot, I think mostly loss when it comes to the people who have invited into this, what I consider, a new family. We lost, the original, my first co-host. There are at least, I want to say, up to like a dozen different shows, different podcasts that were once a part of this that no longer are. And
that's okay,
because I find myself going like, do I feel bad about the fact that I really don't, because maybe they didn't understand yet like who we are and what we're actually trying to do, like what the purpose of all of this is.
Exactly.
And we are slowly finding the people who do. So
yes, but you have to see it as well. It's an opportunity for people to change. It's an opportunity when they come across this are they ready or not? Is it for the highest good? They have a choice. And some people will not change, and some people will take a different direction. And that's okay. That's called free will. And that's all good. There is nothing wrong about it. But again, with changes comes new people, comes a lot of things. So it's going to be fun. It's to me, it's looking at the studio as a cocoon, as a space where people can really do what they're meant to be doing and let their creativity shine.
That is a beautiful way to close it up. That is exactly it. It is a playground. It's a garden, a community garden. Come play, explore, learn, grow, come and go as you wish.
Yes.
But let's build and create and explore together. And that's really what this is.
Yes.
So and I love that.
And I do too. So, but do you have anything you would like to share with people? About Stargazer, about you?
Well, I have to pee. I've been dancing in my chair. But I'm very excited.
Before, I think we did.
Yes, we've been here before.
I think that was on the last episode too. Oh my god!
But I'm very excited for the new lands that we're going to discover, the new stories to tell.
Yes.
I am so excited for what is ahead,
Yep.
and we are constantly looking for people to be, a part of this with us and come in and try this, especially if you've never tried it before. Come into this space and try it with us, and we'll help you through it. We'll guide you through it. It's empowering for a lot of people to try something like this, especially people who have. I mean, you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you I had really, really bad social anxiety and cannot deal with people. My radio personality has gotten pretty okay at dealing with people.
That's good.
For people out there who struggle with that of social anxiety and things, this is a great exercise to try, because you don't have to be yourself. You can be anything you want to be. You can be a garden fairy or a troll or or a spacecraft.
I agree with you, because there's one thing that I found it in my podcast is being able to communicate, because the key is the communication. So I always invite people to when I was I'm not that much in there on the other app, that talking live help a lot for the communication level. So it's a good exercise as well, and that's something people need to recognize. I don't know if they do or not, but that's something they should be recognizing, how to communicate better. So doing podcast for me, it's really learn to continue to communicate, because communication is something we should all be working on. So, and you said social, you were a nerdy nerd. Well, don't worry, I'm super shy. Believe it or not, people will never believe me. I know. Are you shy? Yes, I am. I don't look shy, but I am. So
I'm very shy in real life too, still to this day.
I'm still too.
Unless I'm drinking. If I'm at the bar, then I'm pretty friendly.
Oh,
But,
you know.
I still have that, and
Okay.
and it's a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good thing. But I want to challenge everybody to try something like this, especially the people who go, "Oh, I hate what I sound like on a recording." You'll get over that really quick. And you should get over that if you have that fear, that uncomfortableness of hearing your own voice in recording.
I hated my voice.
Recording an outgoing voicemail, thank you for calling. Like, some people, that is excruciating for them to even just hear their own voice. So continue, practice, record, share. Do this as an exercise. It will help you grow. And
absolutely.
That is my number one takeaway from this whole thing. That's why this studio exists. We want everybody to try this.
Exactly. Or come and listen to, as I said, go to the theater and experience the theater and realizing what it's all about. I think storytelling is beautiful. The music is unbelievable. So I will really encourage everybody to go on Studio Stargazer for sure.
I can't wait for the next big piece. The next big one is the sci-fi adventure. That's UI 86, and it's so close, but we're not there yet, and we're taking more time. This is the one where I said, no, we're going to take as much time as we need. I will take an extra year or two if I need to get this right, because this is going to just blow people's minds, and I cannot wait. I'm more and more excited for it every day, but I get, same thing with people coming and going. I get discouraged and, it's sat there for so long and I can't believe that's not done yet. I got to shut up that voice and go, I just want to be excited for what is going to come. And I'm so glad that you're a part of that too. We won't spoil anything yet, but that recording session is already in. So
awesome. That's awesome. I'm not gonna say anything, but
good things coming in the future, kids. Yeah. So definitely stay tuned, and thank you so much for having me on your show and having me be the guest this time. I think last time, except for the recording session that we did for the Japheth thing. Last
Yep.
time it was very much like, you were on Mindwave, you were on my show, and I was like, yeah, you can use it too. And I held the reins, and it was very, very nice for me to let you guide this one and have me on your show. And
Yes.
it's a different experience, and I want to thank you obviously
Well, there
for
would be another
doing
episode
this with
because
me.
we're not done talking. So just for people to
Oh,
know, there
never.
will be another episode with Jenner. So he's coming back on Emma's Universe. But it was a pleasure to have you today here on Emma's Universe podcast. It's a blessing, and people, please check Studio Stargazer .org. Am I right when I say that? It's .org.
Correct.
Okay. And you can connect with Jenner directly there, or you can go on LinkedIn and connect with Jenner, or you can go on my LinkedIn and you will see that Stargazer is part of my little world because I'm part of the family as well of Stargazers. But enjoy it and connect with him because I'm telling you, the theater piece, the podcasts are fantastic. The music, but the video, it's, oh my God, it's like, oh, so
Just the beginning.
definitely. Oh yes, absolutely. This is, as I said, it's Hollywood class act. It's Hollywood style. It's beautiful. It's super professional. It's fantastic. So, thank you so much, my love, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you. I'll talk to you next time. God, I got a pee so bad. Okay. Stick around 2 seconds. This episode was produced by Studio Stargazer. Proudly powered by Epidemic Sound. The featured music artists of this episode, aside from me, were Joe Wandrini and Bonnie Grace. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one. If you live in the U.S., you can call 602-456-2253. Share your voice with us, and we will put it on the show. And expect a new phone number specifically for Emma's Universe for you to call soon. Hearts beat themselves. Join us.
Emma's Universe podcast.
Studio Stargazer.